Have you ever wondered if a marketing campaign is actually working? For decades, a lot of it was just educated guesswork. But today, that's all changed. We have literally moved from guesswork to a guarantee. And it's all thanks to something called performance marketing. So let's break down exactly how it all works. All right, here's what we're going to cover. First up, we'll look at the old world of marketing versus the new, data-driven one. Then we'll get a solid definition of what performance marketing really is. After that, we'll talk about your role in all this, tackle the super tricky question of attribution, who gets the credit for a sale, and finally, we'll get into the crucial skill of turning all those numbers into a story that people actually want to hear.
So, let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about the fundamental problem that performance marketing was born to solve, that huge challenge of knowing what really, truly works.
I want you to imagine something. It's 1985. You're launching a new breakfast cereal. You do some focus groups, you put up some ads on billboards and in newspapers, and then you just wait. And hey, sales go up. That's great. But which ad was it? How many new customers did you actually get from the campaign? You just don't really know for sure. Now, fast forward to today. That same campaign, it's all online. And suddenly, you have concrete data. You can track every single click, every view, and measure your results in real time. It's a completely different ballgame.
And that new ballgame? Well, it has a name. Let's get into the modern, data-driven solution, performance marketing.
So at its core, performance marketing is all about using that concrete information, all those clicks and views and signups, to plan and, this is the important part, to constantly refine your strategies. The entire focus is on results you can actually measure, things like clicks and sales. No more guesswork, period.
And to measure those results, we rely on what are called key performance metrics. We're talking about things like impressions, that's just how many eyeballs saw an ad, or cost per click, how much you pay every time someone clicks. But it gets a lot deeper than that, with stuff like customer lifetime value, which is how much a customer is worth to you over time, and the big one, return on ad spend, or as everyone calls it, ROAS.
So, what exactly is ROAS? It's actually beautifully simple. It's the metric that answers the most important question of all. For every single dollar we spend on ads, how many dollars do we get back? Let's make this super clear. Let's say you spend $100 on an ad, and that ad brings in $150 in sales. Your ROAS is 150%. This number, this is your proof. It's the thing that connects everything else we're talking about. The attribution, the storytelling, all of it into one simple figure that tells your team, hey, we put in this much and we got this much back. And tracking this is more critical than ever. Why? Because the modern customer journey is just complex. Today, it takes an average of 6 touchpoints. That's 6 different interactions with your brand before a customer buys something. And get this, that number has more than doubled in just 15 years. That makes understanding every single step of that journey absolutely essential.
Okay, so if you're working in marketing today, what does all this mean for you? Let's talk about your role in data analytics and the actual practical skills you're going to be using. Think of data analytics as the engine that powers all of performance marketing. It's the process of looking at all that data you've collected and really digging in to find what we call actionable insights. It's all about using hard facts to make smart decisions, not just, going with your gut. Now, in an entry-level role, this whole process usually breaks down into 3 main jobs. First, you'll be pulling data. It just means gathering it from all the different tools like Google, Facebook, what have you, and getting it all into one place. Next up is reporting. That's where you organize that data into nice, clean summaries to track how things are going. And finally, the most crucial part, analyzing the data to figure out why things are happening and what the heck you should do about it.
And this right here is such a crucial distinction, the difference between reporting and analysis. See, reporting just tells you the what. It says, our sales went down 10% last month. Okay, but analysis tells you the why. It says, our sales went down 10% because a competitor launched a massive sale and our main ad campaign really underperformed. You see the difference? One is just information. The other is a real insight you can act on.
All right. Now this brings us to one of the trickiest parts of performance marketing, a real puzzle, attribution. In a journey that has 6 different steps, who gets the credit for the final sale?
So attribution is the official name for the process of figuring this out. It's all about determining which specific ads, which emails, which social media posts are the ones actually responsible for getting a customer to sign up or make a purchase.
I mean, really think about it for a second. If a customer sees a social media ad,
then gets an email from you a week later, and then finally clicks a Google search ad to buy something, does that last click really deserve 100% of the credit? The answer is almost always a big no, and that's why we have different ways to measure this.
Let's walk through a few common ways to do this, using that art supply store as an example. So you have a first-click model. This one gives all the credit to the very first thing a customer saw. It's great for figuring out what first grabs attention. But on the flip side, you have last click, which gives all the credit to the final touch point. This tells you what's good at closing the deal, but it ignores everything that came before. Then there's the linear model, which is kind of democratic. It just splits the credit equally among every single step. And then you have data-driven. This is the smart one. It looks at all your past sales data and uses an algorithm to figure out which touch points are statistically the most influential, and then it gives out credit based on that.
Okay, so you've collected the data, you've analyzed it, you've even figured out who gets the credit. The final, and I would argue most important step, is communicating what you've found. It's all about telling stories with data to turn those numbers into actual real-world action.
Now, data storytelling, it's not just about showing people a spreadsheet. No way. It's the art of building a clear, compelling narrative around your insights, explaining what the data means, why it matters, and what we should all do about it. I love this slide because it illustrates the three core elements perfectly, using a play as an analogy. So, the data points themselves, those are your characters. You have to choose the important ones. The narrative, well, that's the plot, what happened and why it's a big deal. And the visualizations, your charts and graphs, that's the scenery, helping the audience focus on the story you're telling.
This quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? Without a story, data is just a pile of numbers. A story is what gives those facts meaning. It's what drives people to actually make a change.
For example, look at this. Let's say you're at a toy company. You could stand up and say, our last campaign had a ROAS of 120%, and our new one has a ROAS of 180%. Okay, fine. Or you could just show this simple bar chart. Instantly, everyone in the room gets it. They can see the success. The visual tells the story so much better than the numbers alone ever could.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. Data is what gives you the insights, but it's the story that gives those insights real, lasting impact. So the next time you're looking at a dashboard or a spreadsheet, just remember this. Your data is telling a story. The only question is, are you listening?